What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Rodeo Wagon podcast, brought to you by the Western Edge app and produced by our good friends at Cosmic Cowboys. We're here with VENN JOHNS. Man, it's cool seeing you. It's been a minute.
Yeah, I've been kind of in a little hiatus, trying to heal up and get life together so I can get back to doing what I love.
Are you doing surgery, or what's going on with that?
I have opted out of surgery, so instead of that, I've been taking some supplements and trying to focus some of the training, and I've started doing some lifting in my shoulders and stuff to try to build up not just the small muscles but the bigger muscles to kind of keep the biceps and the rotator cuffs from causing any other problems. So it's getting there. It's actually, I mean, it seems like it's working. I feel really good. I've gotten on a couple of bulls and they felt good. So now if I can just I'm actually still dealing with my vehicle being wrecked for 6 months. So, it's just, life things happening, and it's just not exactly the right time for me to be back to riding like I want to be, but it'll happen.
What exactly was it with your shoulder?
So I tore the rotator cuff. Well, it's been about 5 years that I tore the rotator cuff and the teres minor and the labrum. And I didn't get it fixed then. I just kept going. And I did take a few months off. And then whenever I came back, I actually, which I love cupping. So I'm not saying anything bad about cupping at all, but I did some cupping one night. And then this is back when I owned my gym still. And so I went out into my gym and I was doing some, they're called cannonballs, you're like traversing from ball to banana or whatever, is hanging.
Sure.
And whenever I went to make the move, I had this arm on and it popped my long head of my bicep. And I think that it was because the cupping actually did what it was supposed to, which is get rid of scar tissue or move it around, things like that. And I think what happened was that scar tissue was keeping.
Yeah, it was actually beneficial.
Yeah,
that's I don't think people really get that, because
like
after so much time you build up that scar tissue. Now I don't know if this is true or not, but I do know that, like, even shoulder dislocations, once you get past 30, I think there's an age there. I believe it's 30. Once you get past 30, your chances of dislocating your shoulder go way down. I wonder if part of that's not due to, just years of scar tissue kind of build up, and it kind of helps act as a
shield almost. Yeah, because I mean,
that could be completely, that's unfounded. It's just thinking.
Right. Just our own hypothesis here. Yeah.
Bull rider hypothesis.
Like when I dislocated it originally, I was riding, got thrown off, stuck my elbow out, jammed it, dislocated it, put it back in that night. And I've never had any problems with it dislocating after that. I just have problems with just not, because they're completely ruptured. There are certain positions I just have zero strength in. So that's why I thought, well, if I build up muscles around it, it's not really, the best thing to do per se, but I am choosing to do that for right now. And then I dislocated the other one, and I tore the long head bicep on the other one, on the other shoulder. And so I've been working on mobility and flexibility and things to where I can, when a bull is going into my hand or something, I'm able to actually make the move over my head instead of in front of my face.
That's the harder of the two, because I've had 2 surgeries on my left shoulder and then 1 on my right. The one on my right, I got stepped on, so I broke. So I actually, the ball, I broke that in half and then dislocated it. And so there's a bunch of pieces that were kind of dislocated, tore the rotator cuff off. So the bone that your rotator cuff attaches to, tore that bone off, and messed up my rotator cuff. It was real bad. It was similar to what JB had done with his.
Yeah, that sounds
bad enough. I didn't have any chance to ride with it at all.
Yeah,
one of those deals. Whereas with my left one,
No choice.
I actually went both times. I went through a process of riding with it. The second time on my left one, I rode with it for a year,
Yeah,
and
I remember you having
it
some.
didn't really come out. It subluxed a lot, so it would actually move in the joint, and those ligaments would kind of stretch, and so you'd have to
Right.
like wiggle it to get it to kind of like realign.
Settle in to where, yeah.
I think it was more my bicep tendon, maybe, that my bicep tendon was kind of slipping, and so I had to you had to like wiggle or relax to get that tendon to pop back into the groove.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I know that feeling.
the the riding arm's a lot better to deal with than your free arm.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I looked into stem cell, um, and when I talked to those guys, I talked to two different companies about it, and they both, said that unfortunately, because they're completely ruptured, there's not a lot that stem cell can actually do for it. I
Yeah,
mean, and there's no pain. That's the other thing too. Like I have no pain. I've had no pain. I
right.
just get into certain positions and there's nothing.
No
And,
strength. And
yeah,
I wonder if that has to do a little bit with like that you know influx. When it kind of pulls apart. And it's not
right.
dislocated, but it's subluxing to a certain degree,
Yeah,
where when
there's more movement
subluxation happens, you don't have strength in that position whatsoever.
yeah, like if I am grabbing my bag or something and I reach straight out, there's nothing because the bicep, long head is not connected. So it's like every other muscle is trying to keep that
Yeah,
up.
I didn't think about that. It probably has more to do, honestly, with that bicep than it does
The
subluxing
shoulder, the actual,
the shoulder. It's more of that bicep connecting to
yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Uh,
fascinating. And that's
but
your.
man,
Are you
I'm feeling
dealing
good though.
mostly with your riding arm, your left one?
Thinking,
Your left one's bothering you the worst. That's the one you were thinking about having surgery on?
yeah,
Okay. That makes
yeah.
sense.
The other one's good. I think, and honestly, like I think I could. And part of the thing, it's like I don't. Bull riding is too dangerous to do it like as a hobby. I think we all agree, on that. Most everybody in their right mind.
I wouldn't.
Um,
Anyway, I think people can do it. I think it's great. Not for me.
right. To each their own.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
I mean, I guess if you want to, go get on some practice bulls maybe or something and make it a hobby that way is one thing. But for me, I always wanted to be in the if I'm going to compete in a sport, I would like
Yeah,
to compete at the highest level.
right.
And so if I'm planning to do that again, which I am, then I don't want to go for a couple of weeks or a month and then like have something stupid happen because of that injury. So I feel like if I can get it, get the strength build up and believe that I can go for more than a month, and because when you get put in in particular situations, you need certain movements, and if you can't do those and your body can't perform those, then you're not only jeopardizing your health again, you're also jeopardizing the health of your bullfighters. I
Right.
mean, they're out there to help you, but if you're not able to do what you need to do too, then now you're putting more people's lives in more danger than they already are. So I don't want to do that either.
I think too, even so, not only putting bullfighters, in a bad position, but also at those PBRs or probably those bigger pro rodeos, there obviously some of those bullfighters go to other deals, but you go to the right deals, and those bullfighters, it does not matter. Like
Right,
if you're
right.
gonna get hooked, it was meant to be, because those suckers are gonna do everything. You could get on freaking
Yeah,
dinosaur out there, and you feel as though you're okay. However,
yeah,
however, if you're compromised and you go to any other deal, especially if you're trying to come back and you're trying to kind of get that flow, now
yeah.
you're dealing with, you don't have that kind of protection. I mean, just to
Right.
be honest, you
Yep.
don't have the same kind of protection at a lot of those deals,
Right.
opposed to, those bigger deals where you do have that.
Yeah. I mean,
That's a big
it's
deal when you
the
back or dealing
bullfighters
with injury.
are like you said. I have no when I go to PBR, especially like now that we've been around for long enough. We know the fighters, and it's like even beyond friendship with them, it's like I literally do trust, like, I don't even think about my, health per se, whenever, or if I ever get hung up, or if there's a wreck, or whatever. I know those guys are like on top of it, and literally the Secret Service.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I definitely don't even think twice about, my a problem with them whenever when I'm riding. So,
But still, at the same point, you have to feel confident that when you're coming back and you're going to those deals, that you're in a position to win.
sure.
I think too, especially coming when you're debating on surgery or not, like you were. You talked
Mhm.
about,
Yeah.
crazy to say, but you talked about having surgery and coming back at 50.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
I mean, I'm 49 now. I got, let's see, I'm, I'm don't plan on having surgery. So, I mean, I'll just have to come back before 50 and just ride through 50.
Like,
It's fine.
perfect.
Yeah.
You're unique. Your background is unique in your gymnastics background. I wonder how much, for me, like, I grew up playing sports and stuff. It was mostly baseball.
Hmm.
That's kind of my background. And so when I first got into bull riding, like, I really beefed up. I focused a lot on strengths and uh, really kind of went the opposite. It took me a few years to develop a program that really was sport specific. And it
Hmm.
wasn't until maybe the last 2 years after I had gotten hurt a lot that I realized, like, I'm missing out on maybe one of the most crucial parts in bull riding, and it's mobility and pliability. Flexibility is great, but mobility and pliability are huge. It's
Yeah.
You can be flexible all day long, but that can actually hurt you.
Right.
Pliability is important for being able to take those shots, and then mobility. How much of that background with gymnastics actually kind of helps you? Because most people at 50 can't do what you've done, and it's not like you just started doing it. You've been doing this for a while now, so you've obviously had that physical discipline and knowing kind of what to do to be able to maintain that.
Well, the one thing about gymnastics that I think a lot of people don't realize is that, health, people that have degrees in health science and things like that, they generally tell you to, for one example, when you're stretching your Achilles out, you're not supposed to bounce, right? Well, in gymnastics, um, you have to do things that are not in the norm. And so that particular example is one that when we used to warm up, we would warm up by bouncing, like from a handstand. You would bounce off the balls of your feet back
Uh-huh.
to a hand, because when you tumble or when you do vault, you're going to be at an angle hitting the ground, and your feet are going to be flexed, and so your Achilles tendon is going to have to be subjected to that, and calloused and strengthened to those types of positions in that quick, like, pounding action. And so just different things like that gymnastics does for you, besides the core strength, besides the um, body awareness, that I think is one of the biggest parts, is like tendon strength, tendon, tenacity. Like, it's your, I've got scar tissue around my ankles from tearing every single ligament and tendon in them. And that helps, because if I get stepped on, or even in jujitsu, that helps, because people try to put an ankle lock on me and it doesn't work as well because I have a lot of scar tissue around it. Um, but understanding your body, understanding how to roll, how to fall, how to move when you're down on the ground, those things are huge. I mean, you watch some of the more healthy riders. A lot of times, it's because when they dismount, they know how to fall. They know how to. It's not just like hit the ground and move. Like, yes, you want to do that, but there's also this air awareness that gymnastics gives you. I mean, ice skating will give it to you. I mean, there's a lot of different sports that can give it to you, but that is definitely one. I mean, because you're upside down half the time in gymnastics, and you're letting go. Like my favorite event was high bar, and on high bar you have what's called release moves, and so you have to maneuver your body around the bar, let go of the bar. Sometimes, like I did this thing called the full twisting Tkachev, and it's where you let go and you arch your back and you fly over the bar with a straight body, and you do a full twist and you catch the bar again. So you're in the air, twisting, turning, doing all these maneuvers like a cat and catching something again. So your hand-eye coordination, your body mechanics, like all of those things come into play. And so ironically, when you're riding a bull, you have to do a lot of the same kind of things. It's just a lot more dangerous.
And
And
what's
and
funny
the
is
apparatus is moving.
the timing of all of that. It's not just like, because people think, well, that's immediately your mind goes to, you make a good bull ride, you go to get off. How you get off matters. It certainly does. All of that comes into play. It probably matters just as much, if not more, when you make a bad get off. Like the other day in Cassville, I went to jump off on the inside. My hand didn't come out of my rope, and so I'm
Mm.
side saddled before my hand comes out. Now that's where your body has to react and make all of those moves to get out safely, and everything has to be so precise. But it's not like a timing thing where the bull's throwing you out. So getting in
Right.
like a compromising situation,
Yeah.
that's where, when your body can take over and be able to execute on some of that stuff, it probably matters
Yeah.
more than getting tossed to getting on the outside of the bull's hip and allowing that hip to throw you out.
Right.
Probably more so when you're dealing with times where maybe you're in the well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know that just even still at my age, I still have that aware, like I can be upside down, or even when I hit the ground. I mean, there's been a couple times where I've hit the ground really hard and probably gotten a, flash knockout or something, or got zinged pretty good, and I may not know at that moment exactly where the bull is, but the majority of the time, whenever I dismount, whether it's a good dismount or a bad one, I know where the bull is. And so that I think that helps, obviously in health, just staying healthier, and having a longevity of a career, that's as 20 plus years.
What you mentioned earlier too, like supplements. What's your thoughts on supplements? As far as what kind of supplements do you think that athletes, especially maybe in our profession that are in high contact sports to collision sports, what supplements out there, maybe would benefit a guy?
I'm a firm believer in creatine daily. Um, Creatine, you got your amino acids, of course, your regular proteins, whatever kind of protein you want, you like. The peptides, though, those are, I think those are underrated by a lot of people, and underutilized. They are kind of expensive right now because regulations, and I mean it's legal, but it's just the peptides are, and they're getting kind of hard to get. But like a BP 157, that's like it's almost like a growth hormone replacement, or not replacement, but addition, and that's what I've been taking, and I feel like it helps you recover faster. It helps you can go work out, and you can push it, but then you feel you have that recovery with it also. There's another, it's called Replenish, and that's the post workout drink or powder that I take, and that stuff is the bomb. Like, it's the best thing I've ever had for post workout supplements. But I try not to do, or you want, especially in our industry, things have to be as convenient as possible. So,
That's what
carrying around powders is kind of hard. Yeah, carrying around powders difficult. Carrying around a little bottle or a vial of, BP 157 is, not necessarily doable sometimes, or, you got to keep it refrigerated and this and that. So there's some logistical challenges to it. But when you're home and you're, on your regimen at the house, then that's, I think, some of the stuff that a guy would want to look into.
Yeah, and I
To
think too, like, so obviously anything that you have to keep at certain temperatures, I think there's still a lot of supplements that I utilize that probably are really good for on the road. Inflammation, I do Relief Factor. There's
yeah,
actually there's other supplements, and you can even just get the same exact. You can go to the store and buy Omega and Icarin and these
mhm.
different anti-inflammatories. Great supplements to use on the road if you can take them with you and stuff. Obviously, if you have to keep anything refrigerated, that's difficult on the road.
Yeah, yeah,
Also, for me, I believe the last year and a half, one of the biggest things is just trying to freaking eat food that gives me all of that. It's
yeah.
so much better. And in fact, cutting out everything. Like my diet has changed tremendously. Now, super high fats. It's not keto because I'm eating way too much protein to be considered a traditional keto diet. But I
Right,
super low carbs. I'm probably eating 20 carbs a day. Outside of certain, on the weekend, there is certain specific times where I can't bring my grill if it's raining outside and I can't.
sure.
And before I had the van, it was even more. You got to eat somewhere. Well, that's difficult. Carb up on game day because you're not going to get enough fat.
Hmm.
But that high fat diet, I've loved it because I pretty much just ate meat. Meat. I try to stay away from everything. Again, the ketos. There's so many different keto meals out there and stuff. I try to stay away from anything that's processed. Just about. Just like I
That's
feel
what I'm just gonna
better when
say.
I'm freaking
Processed
eating
food.
meat.
Yeah,
Good meat that's high in fat and
yeah, I mean, speaking of diet, yeah, that's another thing that when I started taking some of those other supplements, I was starting to get a little bigger, which at first I didn't mind because with the particular training that I was doing, you're bound to get a little bit bigger, but you're also creating more density in your muscles, so that your muscles are getting stronger and harder. And so I did that, and then I went, and during that, I would only eat basically tuna, hard boiled eggs. I would have vegetables, some chicken, but um, then steak. That was pretty much it. That was all I eat, and I would eat throughout the day. When I felt like I needed it. I don't all you don't. That's kind of one of the things that a lot of people are have not learned how to understand their body and how your body needs sugar. But a lot of times it's confusing on whether your body actually needs the sugar or it wants the sugar. And and
body's
and so
producing sugar as well.
right. So you've got to have an intake of that, right? And so I was getting a little bit bigger and just, doing that kind of diet. And then once I got to where I felt like everything was good and strong for a couple of weeks, I stopped eating. I just did intermittent fasting, and I would eat one time at night, and I would eat whatever I wanted. I eat pizza, I eat pasta, I eat steak, I eat I mean, I kind of have the same because I don't cook. I still don't cook. I've been in this. I've
You're
been in
not
my
50
place.
yet. Is it 50? Is that when you're supposed to learn how to cook for yourself?
I'm thinking that might be the time. It's I've pretty much been single, most of my life, pretty much. I mean, I've had girlfriends and whatnot, but like I've never lived with someone else, so it's always just me.
How have you
So,
survived? Like, you just order out?
dude,
You buy meal prep food?
yeah, well, I do that sometimes. But man, those tuna fish and hard boiled eggs, like
Yeah.
that's through the day, and I'll go to Texas Roadhouse or I'll go to a steakhouse and, have a good steak and pasta. I'll just get pasta from, wherever. And like I said, it's when you're working out, and I got to thinking about it, when I was in gymnastics, when I was at the Olympic Training Center, I think back and I mean, everything was in there from cereal to chocolate cake to chocolate milk to like anything you wanted. And I ate a ton of food, and I was always in great shape. So if you think about that, how is it that you can have all these people telling you to be on these diets and you need this exercise and you need, but then a gymnast can go and eat everything under the sun and work out the way they do, which when we worked out, it was 6 a.m. to about 8 or 8:30. And then you go to school. And actually I got my first hour and my sixth hour. We talked them, my grandparents and we talked the school system into letting me take my electives as gymnastics, even though it wasn't a school sport.
Nice.
And so my first hour was gymnastics, but I started at 6 a.m. Then I go to class, and then you get done at class at like 2:30, and I'd go back to the gym and we'd work out for another 3 or 4 hours. So, I mean, you're talking 5 hours a day of working out. So when you're working out that much and doing those types of full body movements all the time, you can pretty much eat what you want.
Yeah.
So,
Well, a good example of that too is Michael Phelps. So you look at Michael Phelps, and then look at the world's strongest men. Michael Phelps has eaten like 6,000 more calories, or was in his prime. He's eaten 6,000 or more calories than a guy that's a world-class strongman. You're
right.
talking about strongman, the guys that are eating 7, 8,000. Michael Phelps is down like 13,000 plus a day.
Yeah, that's a job.
Check the pancakes. Like, it doesn't even matter what you're putting in your body. It's you put everything in your body just to get the energy. And then that's a different level, but super high.
It'll sort itself out.
Probably. So when I was really focusing on gaining strength, and I got down to 5 points, so I got up to where I was 190, about 5.7% body fat, got real strong. But at that time, I was building fence for my uncle, so I was digging holes all day long, right? And then after that, go to the gym for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And just the amount of that you just are producing and the amount of food you have to eat. And you'd think that I actually ate more food then than I even do now, because I don't want to get to that point. I ride better when I'm between 145 and 155.
Yep.
I'm actually changed a little bit of my riding and the way I've rode, especially helping me into my hand. So now I'm actually changing my diet a little bit to start to regain some of that size and strength. Whereas before I was really riding more, I say technical, but I wasn't getting under my rope and really utilizing my strength as much. Especially arm strength and leg strength. I was more utilizing core and stability.
Sure. Yeah, balance and all that good stuff.
The way it hurt me at that point. Now I'm kind of Cody Nance, between Cody Nance and some of the Brazilians. Cody Nance on the diet and strength part of it, and the Brazilians on the riding part. Kind of transitioning and changing that, but again, that goes back to knowing your body and what to put in it. Yeah. And even like you talked about sugar and stuff, and kind of knowing different kinds of sugars and how your body's producing sugar. Like, I know if I'm eating too much protein, that protein's actually turned into sugar and it produces fruits. People making drinks, blending fruits up, that's not good for you. Like, it's literally changing what you're eating. Yeah. Your body doesn't digest it the same way when you
and when you do that, when you do that, you're also changing the acidity in your stomach. So now your body is not working like it was designed to work. So, I mean, there's a lot of implications to some of the, things that people are trying to do with their diets now. I mean, heck, grandma, she used to make, meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and green beans. And I'd have a couple of slices of bread with butter on it and 4 glasses of milk. And like, it is no big deal.
Milk's a big thing. They used to, like, I know when I was growing up, and definitely probably when you were growing up, like, everybody said milk, milk, milk for kids. And that's changed. That's really ruined a lot of people.
That is the weirdest thing to me. I've read about it. I've had people tell me about it. I've even had 2 people tell me that, like, I don't know how you don't have kidney stones. You drink so much milk. I don't either, but maybe it's because I don't know. But if I was allergic to milk, I would probably go nuts because I love milk.
Hey there, folks. I want to tell you about my favorite cowboy hat brand, Sombrero Brands. As a professional bull rider, I know how important it is to have a hat that not only looks good, but can withstand the toughest rides out there. And that's exactly what Sombrero Brands delivers. Their hats are custom fitted and shaped to perfection, with a level of attention to detail that's hard to find these days. But what really sets Sombrero Brands apart is the fact that they're a family-owned and operated business. Mark and Kendall Holler, the owners, and their daughter Sarah, who's only 13 but already a hat-making prodigy, are all passionate about their craft. They know what it takes to make a cowboy hat that can stand up to anything the rodeo circuit can throw at it. And get this, the founder's grandfather, Polly Holler, was born and raised at South Camp on the 4-6s Ranch. These folks have got cowboy blood running through their veins, and it shows in every hat they make. That's why I'm proud to have Sombrero Brands as a major sponsor for my podcast, the Rodeo Wagon Podcast. So if you're in the market for a hat that's tough enough to handle anything the rodeo throws at it, give Sombrero Brands a try. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. And there is a lot of benefits to working out. If you are training, you're getting that casein protein. A lot of good benefits too. Even before you go to bed, when you wake up, drinking milk.
Yeah, milk.
For me, one of the big things for me is before I go to bed. People are like, don't eat past 7 o'clock. Absolutely not. I am eating before I go to bed. Just because that's the one time where your body, intermittent fasting on purpose is great. But unless you know why you're doing it, like I want to be utilizing that time where my body's like engaged and still active and working.
Well, your metabolism is still working through the night when you're sleeping. 100%. I mean, that's why when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you're supposed to do is drink a glass of water because your body's dehydrated. So you need to rehydrate it in the morning. That's why people wake up, they're like, oh man, my veins are popping in the morning. Well, it's because you're dehydrated. Like that's what happens when you sleep.
The first thing I do in the morning is drink a glass of water.
Yeah. I mean, that's just, I do that too. And it's crazy because now, like if I don't hardly ever wake up in the middle of the night, but like sometimes I have, and I'd like go get a drink of water or something. And I could literally tell, I could probably do it right now. If I drink water, I can feel almost my body temperature rising. Like my heart starts racing a little bit more. It gets heavier. And it's like, my body's like, okay, we like this. Like we're going to use it, whatever. And I've asked other people if they've experienced that. And so far I haven't found anybody. So maybe I'm just crazy. I don't know, but I love water too.
I do keep a water on my nightstand because if I get up in the middle of the night and I go walk out into the kitchen and I wake a kid up, then that's gonna.
Yeah, you got other motives.
Yeah. Now I'm dealing with a screaming kid and my wife, and screaming wife, screaming kid. Life's not good. So I keep a thing of water right on my nightstand, and every once in a while I'll wake up, and it'll crazy too if you're actually training and you don't get enough water in. Sometimes it will wake me up in the middle of the night, and it's my body. You can just feel it. It's thirsty. I feel like a plant that hasn't been watered and it needs it.
Just shriveling up. Like, oh man. Oh yeah. I know that too.
What about recovery? So what's a big thing for you? Lately for me, it's been ice baths. I've been doing them every single day.
So
I take recovery also in the morning. So.
I still love cryo and I love ice baths. I like them for different reasons though. I love the float tank. Float tank is great. Acupuncture is amazing. Dry needling is amazing. Like if I twist a finger and one of my knuckles is, swollen, but I know it's not set, like it's been manipulated, so I need it to be reset. Well, you could ice it, you could do all these other things, but every single time if that happens, I go get dry needled. They dry needle the joint and then they adjust the joint and it's done. Like, so dry needling for some pinpoint accuracy of things like that is amazing. Just the energy that if you find someone who really understands how to how to perform acupuncture, then they will understand, where to put the pins and how to reconnect your energy and your vibrations and, all those things that a lot of people now are starting to try to turn to. They're realizing that that's a real thing. And I still do like active release therapy. It's similar to a massage, but it's a little more rigorous and there's more movement involved in it and there's more of your participation in it. So it's not very pleasing. When you get it, it's painful. But that's highly utilized in my regimen. But as far as ice baths, I like ice baths because of the mental aspect of it, the fortitude that you gain from doing the ice bath. Because when you get in an ice bath, you're starting to restrict blood flow at that time because you're freezing, right? Like, I mean, you have this water around you and it's at 30 degrees or whatever, and you're freezing, right? And so that's why when you get out of an ice bath, you can't immediately go do an exercise because all the blood has not gone back to your extremities to where it's safe basically to do an activity. So when you get finished with an ice bath, you're done for several hours really before you should be doing, anything after that, which is fine. It elevates your metabolism. It drops endorphins, your dopamine, like all of these great things that you get from the ice bath. I love it. It is more, it's a little more tedious to do if you don't have a container that's outside that already has, or you live in a cold climate where you've got ice all the time or snow or something like that. So it can be a little bit more of a challenge for someone at home to do an ice bath, but the benefits are astronomical. Love them.
I think too with the ice baths, the benefits, I say recovery, it's really the energy, clarity. That may be the best part of ice baths.
Yeah, like you could have a headache.
Yeah.
And
Well, the big thing with ice, so my wife, she's an athletic trainer. So we do the cupping and the dry needling, all of that stuff. With the ice bath, what's interesting about icing, and this is a big thing, people ice way too much. Athletes icing after recovery, it can hurt your recovery tremendously because swelling actually has an important place in recovering.
That's why you swell.
And the research is actually that it doesn't even help with inflammation that much. Icing actually is very little of it helps with inflammation, if any. The modern research suggests it does help with pain. It definitely helps with pain. There's anti-inflammatories, proper diet that can help with inflammation. But it's almost old school. It's very debatable. So it's definitely a topic that is controversial, especially if you're dealing with somebody that's maybe more old school minded versus like the new studies that have suggested that the use of ice for athlete recovery and injury prevention.
I had when I was fixing to compete on American Ninja Warrior one season, I tore my bicep, and that was 2 weeks before the competition, and I also dislocated my ankle. And my doctor that I go to, one of them, he said he's a former X Games trainer and stuff like that too. So he's used to idiots like me that are going to still compete when they shouldn't be. And so he said, look, he told me like all these things to do. But he said, since you compete, like we compete on a Friday night and then we compete on a Saturday night. So he said, when you get done competing on Saturday or Friday night, he said, go get some tofu, and the collagen in the tofu, put it on your ankle, and you'll find relief. You should find relief not only from pain, but it also will help swelling because the collagen in the tofu.
Interesting.
So I was like, okay. So I tried it. I can't necessarily say that it was awesome or like that there was this amazing, lack of pain or, whatever in it. But But thinking about it, I mean, collagen is also one of the other supplements that I do
I was getting
use.
ready to say that's a supplement as well that you could probably utilize.
Yeah, and so doing the tofu directly on it for that, and he's like, it will only help in the immediate. Like it's not something that's going to heal it or anything like that. It's just going to give you some relief in the next, 30, 45 minutes to an hour. So he's like, do it right before you run, the next time, the next day, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right. So, I mean, I did it, but whenever you're performing, whenever you're competing, um, everybody said it, everybody's that's competed has felt it. You don't feel things. And so
Right.
a lot of times you don't, sometimes you do, but yeah, whenever it's go time, you're in the zone. And
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of times where you're in the shoot getting ready to nod your head and you're still dealing with it. There's definitely times, but there's a lot of really even leading up to it. Your adrenaline really takes over. It's crazy what adrenaline can do to mask.
for real.
Just
Yeah,
masking.
like you get out of, like, you have a bad, bull in the chute and he's smashing your legs, and you're just like dealing with it. You're going through your, all of your emotions. You're, just doing it. And then you get done and you go back and like your spur is smashed and your leg, like you've got two layers of skin off your shin, and you like, you didn't even know it, but
I
you
broke
still
my
felt
fibula and didn't even know I broke it for 3 weeks.
it.
Because when I broke it,
Right.
when it probably was at its worst, I mean, I was in the chute. That's when it happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
3 weeks later, I went to go take my boot off. Well, I didn't. The sports med in Bangor went to take my boot off, and I freaking just about hit him. My
Jumped out.
reaction was to just hit him, and I didn't. It was bad. And then
Yeah.
and I got X-rays, and it definitely broke.
Turns out,
Yeah.
got a broken bone there.
That's when I started wearing shin guards. Before that, I never did that.
I
Then I
remember
was
that.
talking
Yeah.
to a Brazilian. All them Brazilians, they wear shin guards. Well, I say all of them. A lot of them wear shin guards, and that's why. Now that bull can do whatever he wants. Lean on me. I've
Mhm.
had knee surgery, so I'm wearing knee braces and shin guards, and my legs are just about bulletproof in there.
Right. Yeah. That definitely helps a ton, having some sort of padding like that on the inside there, for
What,
sure.
what about like cardio and specific kinds of cardio do you find mobility? So especially right after the weekend, so Monday, Tuesday for me, the biggest thing is regaining that mobility those first few days. What do you
So the two,
routine or anything that you do?
I think, so the two things that I really like, I probably have heard about it or somebody read, I don't know where I come up with it or whatever, but the two things that I really find that help me a lot or the most probably would be, number one, I hate running. Just point blank, I hate running. Um, Probably because I don't run right. Never got taught how to run properly, but whatever. Not something I really care to learn right now. But so what I do is I have a hill out here, and it's probably about a half a mile up the hill, and it's not a steep grade; it's just a gradual grade. But what I do is I'll jog. Okay, so I jog 10 seconds, and I pick 10 because 8 seconds, 10 seconds. That's what our minds are, timing. So I jog for 10 seconds, and then I do a body movement for 10 seconds. Could be mountain climbers, could be sit outs, could be burpees, could be star jumps, could be handstands, could be whatever. I have like this brain full of all of these body movements that you can do for 10 seconds. So I do that for 10 seconds, and then I just continue alternating. Jog for 10, do a body movement for 10. So you're going up and down, plus you're going up a hill, plus you're jogging, plus like when you do sit outs, you have to maintain full body control when you're doing a sit out. Otherwise, you're going to drag your feet on the ground. And I mean, you're just going to be clipping falling all over the place. So you still have to maintain body control. And then when I get to the top, I turn around and I'll do 10 seconds of jog, 10 seconds of sprint, 10 seconds jog, 10 seconds sprint until I get to the bottom. And then I go in the gym and I'll get on the treadmill and I'll raise it to like mine goes up to 10. So I'll like raise the level up to 10. So it's a steep incline and I put it on a 2. So I'm walking. I'm not running. I'm just walking. And I'll take a 50-pound dumbbell and I'll walk with it in one hand, just down by my side. That stabilizes my core. That makes my brain has to like negotiate my feet movement, which is good for bull riding because like Jose's got his feet are just so perfectly like wherever he wants them, he puts them there. Yep. And so I for 2 minutes, I walk for 2 minutes with the dumbbell, with a 50-pound dumbbell in one arm, in one hand, and then I put it in the other hand, walk for 2 minutes, and then I'll take the 50-pound dumbbell and I'll do like a curl, overhead press, tricep around the world, back up and down and down. And I do that for 5 minutes. So there's a 25-minute workout that's cardio, and you're getting full body cardio, brain activity, conditioning, it's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. So. Yeah. They, really probably so I did Insanity for a good while.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple times where I about had them memorized. Just taking different warm-ups and supersets that kind of allow for some of that, within the hip mobility part of it. I used to do yoga when I was in Springfield. I'd go do hot yoga. Yeah. And that was a big deal, especially specific relief ones you'd go in on Mondays, and that helped. Anymore, honestly, what I've done a lot of is Pilates.
I was just going to say Pilates, I think would
I watched Antonio Brown did it.
Say again.
Antonio Brown, that's where I kind of got started. I started getting into, so Tom Brady and his pliability, and I kind of went down that rabbit trail of pliability, and I started noticing, well, one of the sports med guys a couple years back told me about like all these guys doing all of these yoga stuff, and they need to be doing Pilates.
Right. Yeah.
You put me on Antonio Brown, and I just started like, there wasn't a whole lot of content of him doing it other than, the fact that he spent a lot of time doing Pilates. So I started getting on YouTube, looking up different Pilates stuff, and that was beneficial.
Yeah. I agree completely with that too. Now, but and again, it's like you said earlier, you've got to learn your body and you've got to learn what your body needs. Sometimes it does need yoga. Sometimes it needs Pilates. I mean, like, so it's
changing too.
Yeah. And it's a difficult task for an individual to do, especially, a lot of times bull riders don't come from, places where they've had this type of athletic training or, diet training or, anything like that. They just, or working out stuff, they didn't grow up with it. So it's more difficult for, a guy, like that, and that maybe doesn't have the resources, that a lot of other people have. But, shoot, it's like, think back in the old days and, Razor, they worked out. I mean, I know Jim worked out. I've talked to him quite a bit about it. I mean, we still talk today, about workouts and stuff. And I mean, he worked his ass off, but he also did concrete work. So, I mean, he was working out a lot.
You ask JB Mooney if he'll do Pilates. Yeah, I'd like to ask him. I'd like JB. Have you ever done Pilates or consider it for furthering your bull riding career?
He told me one time. He goes, I can't even look at your Instagram. You work out too much. You make me tired.
we were at Sacramento, and we were talking. It's me, Andrew Alvidrez, and Kyler Oliver.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew was saying him and Kyler went to the gym one time, and Andrew's in there pumping, and he looks over, and Kyler's on a yoga mat sleeping in the gym.
Sounds like something Kyler would do.
So how do you take a guy like that, with that kind of, and start to develop that? I think one of the biggest things, though, is, like you said, is athletes, and especially this next generation coming up, is be aware of your body. Be aware of your body. There's not, everybody wants this clear-cut answer. Everybody wants to know how I can lose weight or what I can do to be better. There's not anything clear-cut other than know your body and make sure you're staying moving. I was just watching a video of Conor McGregor the other day, and he was talking to another fighter, and he says, if you're jabbing and that's what you're working on, and your arm goes tired, there's something else to do. Like, like start working on leg kicks. And then when your leg kicks, when that starts getting, worn out, then move to the next thing. There's always something you can do to continually, but
Well,
you have to feel out, you have to know when those parts are. So just being in tune with your body
and that is also, that includes when you're injured. I
yeah.
the thing I see people do, which I think my old gymnastics coach is probably the person that instilled it in me, but it didn't matter if I was injured in a cast, something was broken. I was still in the gym every hour that I was when I wasn't injured, just like I wasn't injured. And so that's just been my mentality my whole life. It's like, even if I've got a broken leg or a broken arm or whatever, I mean, if you think about it, you have already gotten into a regimen and a routine of working out, and you're competing and you're doing these things. Well, you're healthy, everything is good. Then you get injured and you stop that and you use it as a crutch. Now, there are going to be some times where you do need to take some days off, or maybe a whole week or a couple of weeks or whatever. But even then, you still should be doing something during the times that you would normally be working out, because if you don't, now you're reprogramming your body and your brain to not work out, and now you're going to get into a habit of not working out. Then whenever you get healed, it's going to take you longer to heal, number one, but number two, when you are healed, you're going to have to get back into the habit of working out again, and that's going to be difficult. So why go through that whole process when you can just continue working out just like you would be? I mean, it's like, in my mind, it's what I've told a lot of guys that I've coached. It's like, you have to deal with injuries mentally before they happen. And when I say that, I mean, you're going to get hurt. So you need to already have the decision made, in my opinion, that you're going to heal, recover, and you're going to come back and ride, because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And if you can't tell me that you're going to get injured and then you're quitting, then you need to not go to begin with.
Yeah, 100%. And
Like,
on that point, so I tore some cartilage in my ribs, the front part and the back part. And I did that in Deadwood. Well, I had just bought these Animal House Fitness. They have they're called monkey feet.
oh
And
yeah, yeah,
they attach on your feet and you can hold dumbbells.
yep,
It's huge. I don't have a core. I don't have a core right now. So I pretty much am limited to just about everything. However, what I found out is those monkey feet, I can get in a position where I can isolate my legs. I can
there you go.
actually do quite a bit of leg workouts right now.
There,
May not be heavy. It may be
that's okay.
100 reps, but I can do 100 reps.
There you go.
I may not be able to do 5 reps with heavy weight, but I can do 100 reps with lightweight. And I can do something creating blood flow,
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
just
Keeping that flow. Yep.
keeping that flow going. And I know that whenever I come back, I'm going to be better because now I'm actually being able to utilize maybe muscles that. eh, Another thing when you get hurt like that, and it almost makes you step back and say, "Okay, I can't do this, this, this. What can I do?" And then consider what can I do now that maybe I've been overlooking because it's
Yep.
smaller than what I'm used to.
You didn't want to take the time because it wasn't really that big of a deal,
Right.
but it's a little bit of a deal. I mean, it's just like jujitsu. Bull riding, jujitsu are like so similar in the fact that, like, micro movements mean a ton. Like, just like we talk about, you don't want to make big moves on a bull. You don't need to make a big move most of the time. You want to make small adjustments. And that's the same with jujitsu. And so those small adjustments come from being able to uh, manipulate your body and have that control that most people don't have. I mean, we do. I was doing an exercise the other day. I've been doing, we call it Semper Fit. It's a bunch of Marines and doing just weird stuff or whatever. But we have one of the exercises was an ab exercise of your choice. Okay, so take a 10-pound. So I hang off of a bar and take a 10-pound medicine ball and do an L with your feet. So your feet are sticking straight out, right? Stick the medicine ball at your ankles and lift your feet up high enough to where the ball rolls to your stomach, and then let your legs back down and let the ball roll back down to your feet. Do that without dropping the ball. Well, the balance, that not just strength, but the control of your body is insane. Like I had a couple other guys try it. Like they couldn't even hold the ball, first of all, much less lift it up and manipulate it and let it roll back and forth up their legs.
I haven't heard of that one. Now the second I can, I'm going to try it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like it's awesome because you're using your shoulders, you're using your core, you're using your thighs, you're squeezing your legs. I mean, it's like that old school. I forget what it was called, but you remember it was like a wheel, and it had those little pieces of the wire and you could like pull apart and push it back together, and like
Yeah.
all would go down the sticks or whatever they were. It's very similar to that, because you have to like lift it up, pull your feet apart just a little bit, let it have gravity roll back to you, and then push it back let it roll back the other way. So anyway, that's the thing too, just getting creative with those exercises, and what muscles do we use when we ride bulls? What could we make better? What could we, ankles, like having strong ankles, being able to, flex your feet. Like, I mean, there's just all these little nuances of body mechanics that you could adjust and work on, but because they're so small, like you said, when you're not injured and things are going pretty well, you don't really want to take the time to go work on that.
Yeah, you kind of bypass it. It's been a few years, into it before I really started paying attention to taking time to do that and reflect on, okay, what am I doing in my training? Am I getting too caught up in, this and that, like routine? Am I getting too caught up in my routine that I'm, overlooking other aspects? Really easy to do, especially if you start focusing on certain body parts. And then you kind of forget to take a step back and look at the forest and see, okay, holistically, what is my body feeling like? What am I doing? How can you create a more holistic training regimen that's from diet all the way to workout and recovery?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be. I mean, if as long as you're healthy, get blood work. See what your deficiencies are in your blood. That's like one of the biggest things. A lot of people will ask me about what they should be taking, or what they should add to their diet or remove from their diet, and I would be an idiot to try to tell them what to do, like, because I don't know what they need. The only way they're going to know is get blood work. So get blood work done. Find out what deficiencies you have, and then let's talk about what you might need to change in your diet or add to your diet or supplement or whatever. But that's a lot of reason why I don't generally try to tell people what to eat. I'll tell them what I eat.
Right.
I'm like, this is what works for me. I mean, but like you said, we're petri dishes, so I've had a lot of years to test things and to see how my body reacts to things, and what, and I do get blood work done. So I do know, where I stand in that sort of category with blood work. But, then you got to have fun doing it on top of all that. And I love working out, and, that part of the process is just as fun, sometimes as the bull ride itself. Now, that moment when you ride one is untouched by anything else I've ever done. But I know that it takes both parts of that to obtain that. So I've learned to find joy in the suck of the workout, and of, doing the mundane, like in the mornings, even still now, I set my alarm 10 minutes early than when I want to get up. And when I hit the snooze, and I meditate for 10 minutes. I don't go back to sleep. And that's because I know if I get to meditating, I'll like end up there for an hour, and now I'm late. And I use my 10-minute alarm clock, snooze button for meditation. And I do bull rides, I do jujitsu, and I think about my goals and what I want to do for that 10 minutes. And then alarm goes off again, get up and go about my day. So that's I think another part of it that people, we talk about visualization and your mind's eye and how it, receives and perceives and all this. But the thing I think a lot of people miss is when you're visualizing, you're wanting to use as many of your senses as possible. So when you made that great bull ride, what did it smell like? What did you smell? Well, not only what did you see, but what did you hear? And so you use all of those senses when you're replaying that in your mind. And it's not just what I see. And so that's kind of another key or a big piece of what I think a lot of people may be overlooking, because everybody just talks about visualization. You got to visualize yourself winning. You got to visualize yourself riding that bull. Visualize this. Yes, that's true. But there's also some additions to that if you can incorporate those, you probably will see even better results.
It's funny you say that, because Brady Sims, I just did a podcast with him, and he talked about smelling. He said there's like certain smells that would set him off. Heating up a bull rope and just the rosin and
yes.
And he talked about the horns of a bull. He said every time that he smelt the, a bullhorn being burnt, so that burnt smell, he said he always rode good. Certain things that kind of help you flip that switch or get in that zone.
Yep.
Then being able to recreate that, I think, is a big thing, as much as you can, because I am against certain things that you can't recreate. And if you're trying to recreate them, and superstition as well. Adam Wainwright, he talked about it. Adam Wainwright it was last year, he did like a bullpen session. So before he went out and started, he went up there, did his warm up, and he talked about his warm up, and he was talking about how much structure is important. But also he said it can't become superstition, because superstition actually impacts your competitiveness. You're less of a competitor if you're dealing with superstition. Big thing in rodeo world. Way too many guys are superstitious.
Yeah, I'm not.
You look at the top guys in these other industries. Adam said that. Conor McGregor, he did a video when he first started. He said, I could get off this chair right now and go fight.
Yeah.
And just that preparedness. So I think superstition, the visualization as being holistic, it's a feel, it's a sight, it's creating that feel, recreating that in your mind. It can be a smell, certain things like when you strap on your boots, when you put your spurs on, you strap on those boots. It's like you can control all of those things. And, being able to really kind of learn to develop that process of that process of visualization, I think it's huge, without it becoming a crutch, but actually becoming a part of your, I don't even know, part of that whole experience that you're trying to succeed at.
I mean, in I like to have a routine. I say routine, but it's really more of just like a progress of steps. Like, obviously sometimes I'm late, so I can't do everything exactly like I would like to do it, which is fine. But I do, like, I want to make sure that my bag is packed a certain way. I know where things are in it, so that if I'm in a hurry, I know where this is. I know where that's at. Same thing with my keys. I put my keys in the same spot every day. So that way I don't have to think about where they're at.
Sure.
I already know where it's at. So same thing with my bull rope, my glove, my leather straps, like all this stuff is in the same spot, but I'm not bound to, like you said, like a superstition where I have to do this first, or I have to, like whatever the case is, I mean, they may be wanting to check our rope or something, and I'm trying to get it ready, but it's okay. Like, okay, well, stop. We'll go check it and get back to it. No big deal. But I know some guys are like, no, I'm doing this. Like, I can't stop once I start, or, or whatever. And it's like, no, man, just, I know where everything's at.
Yeah,
Follow.
routine's important. I think routine's important because
Mm.
timing's important and flow is important. But routine that turns into superstition is not important. It's funny
Yeah.
where I let you go because uh, I every time that I'm like at a hotel or something, Dakota's there, I'll throw my cowboy hat, just throw it on the bed. He, I know, yeah,
That.
about 75% of the time, somebody will say something or they'll move my cowboy hat, and
Uh-huh.
it's intentional. I'll do it every single time.
Yep.
Because I don't care. I don't. My
Yeah.
cowboy hat can lay wherever you want it to lay.
Yeah. I mean, as long as it's not bent and
Yeah.
not getting heated up and like you're reshaped the wrong way, then
Hey,
it's fine.
even if it is, I don't care. That's
Yeah.
one thing I also don't care is I don't care what I look like. Keith Hall he's been on me for years about just like what I'm wearing and what I'm looking like. Kyle, you look like a bum right now. All I care about is whether I'm riding bulls.
Right. Hey, and that's cool. That's good. Like what you want, what works for you, and that's good. Like and that's the
And
great part of
confidence is big too. So the guys out there that do like, hey, I look sharp, got starched jeans, good collared shirt. Hey, if that breeds confidence in you, be all
perfect.
about it. Yeah,
Do
be
it.
all about
Yep.
it. And
Exactly.
looking like a redneck from, mid Missouri, if that's your style, like, it was for me,
Rock it.
rock it, do it. Be all about it. If
Yep.
uh, I
I've
think
seen plenty of guys
I want
that look
a
be able to
PBR.
ride bulls just like strap the rankest one in the pen. And it's like,
It don't
what?
matter what you look like. I won a
Exactly.
PBR in Colorado and messed my groin up, and my groin was hurting so bad I just said screw it. I didn't even want to put my jeans on. I threw it all into my gear bag, and I walked out with shorts, my long sleeve shirt tucked into my shorts with my cowboy boots on. He didn't even want to stand beside me. My wife barely wanted to stand beside me. We're in like
Oh,
an uppity area. It was like a horse jumping, or it's a polo club. It was a
oh,
polo club. And I walked out of that just like, you know what? I don't care.
yeah. I'm here in all my glory.
That's right. But man, it's awesome talking to you.
Yeah.
You
Heck
gonna
yeah.
be in Congress this year? Maybe, hopefully.
Um,
Be a month away. So.
yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm not exactly sure when my first one back is going to be. I'll probably end up hitting Fort Worth a couple times
Oh yeah.
before I go to many of the other ones just
Well, if
yet.
you come to that one, then I can give you a butt whooping in ping pong. We can do it
Yeah,
right. Maybe have a. I know Kenny. He's all about playing ping pong. He's wanting to have that
right.
ping pong tournament, and
Dang.
I told him
Yeah.
we'd do a tournament, and if he, by God's graces, works his way through that tournament in order to face me, then I can hand it to him as well. But he'll have to go
Yeah.
through John's first, and I don't know. I don't
I'm
know if
gonna.
he can handle the ninja.
Yeah, I've been playing some pool, but I haven't been on a pong table in a minute, so I might have to brush up on my
I'd start
skills.
sharpening up. He just moved to Fort Worth, and I believe has an apartment now where they have a ping pong table, maybe. So
Uh,
I think he's coming for you.
okay, noted. All right then, game
But
on.
yeah, maybe we'll have a sweet setup this year at Congress. So maybe we'll like do a Facebook Live and get a bunch of
There
board
we go. Heck yeah,
have a good time of it. Because if
just
we're
be
not competing, we still need to
pongers.
be competing.
Yep, yep, for sure. Cool, man.
Nice
Well,
seeing you.
good to see you too.
Want to thank
Appreciate
our
it.
sponsors, Western Edge App, Sombrero Brand Cowboy Hats. Where can we find you? You got any social media?
Um,
What are your
yeah, all the social medias are Venom, VENNMMM, two N's and three M's, like Campbell Soup.
heck
It's
yeah.
good.
All right,
So,
make sure you check out VENN JOHNS. Freaking cool. We'll definitely do this again. Maybe we'll talk a little more bull riding,
Right on.
less fitness and diet. But I love it.
Sounds good.
It's a huge part of what we do. So
I like all of
probably the
it.
least people know probably less about that than anything. So
Yeah.
good
Yeah,
information.
absolutely. Here to help when I can. So,
All right. Heck yeah, man. Nice talking to you.
okay.
All right.